So it looks like Tuesday of next week, this is going to have its new home, which is going to be great. And, I'm happy about it. I'm excited for it. And it's going to be an awesome day for this cabinet. I'm going to actually miss this cabinet, to be honest. But it's okay. One of the reasons why I requested was being such a particular person about this cabinet being moved is because of this computer right here. And if you look pretty closely, here is all the USB ports that are going to be kind of need to be protected because everything is dependent on these guys and the placement on the motherboard. Grab this out here, and you can see that. So here's the amplifier we talked about earlier today. All right. And that's one of the reasons why I was being so particular about it, really. Nothing, crazy or whatever. Just, have to be honest about that. All right, so anyway, here's another thing that I wanted to point out. Got a keyboard case holder there. Have a holder for the remote control for the TV. That is there. And of course, you've seen all this before. No surprises here. This is what it's going to look like with the back on it. Now what I'm going to do, basically, this is not that heavy actually. I can actually move it pretty easily with one hand. I mean, it's a little stout, but not too bad. We'll move it down a little bit farther so we get it in its place where I want it to be. Okay. So the customer's going to come here. They're going to see this, and they'll be able to turn this on, just like so. So they don't have to go back around the machine anymore. Here is the power button they're going to turn on right here. And then it's going to go do its thing as it powers on. It takes about 3 minutes for this to power on. Now, while this is going, I'm going to start thanking some people who are involved in this project who, without their help, I could not have done this. Josh, Zach, Logan, Courtney, Joe, Justin. Without these individuals helping me, there's no way this cabinet would even be a thing at all. And I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for letting this happen, for helping me, for putting up with my vision. I know it's very super specific, but I'm glad that we all sort of saw it through. I mean, I am glad for that. And of course, this is what everyone else has already seen already. I'm sure everybody that knows me has seen this already, but this is the first time it's been on with the back being on. This is a Windows PC, so you'll see the Windows screen starting up and do that whole thing. A couple things I'm going to go over with you guys as this thing powers on. I have mapped this thing to be controlled with the interface with this controller here, this one. Okay, this is going to be first player with all the emulators that are on it. And here is going to be second player with all the emulators that are on this machine. This machine is capable of doing PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4. It's also capable of doing Nintendo. I can't even mention the name because of reasons that I will not talk about. GameCube, Super NES, NES, all those things are on the table. Atari 7800, you name it, I pretty much put it on this machine. So, as it powers on, it's going to go through its setup cycle, and we're going to see what happens. It does take about 3 minutes for this thing to power on, and of course, I don't have the sound on right now because I actually want to have, well, it's on, but it's low. So this is actually just a small video I just sort of screen captured, and then what I'm going to do is just let it play. Meanwhile, the files that are on this PC are now getting its proper place. The hard drive is spinning up in place. So that way, when this gets done, all the games are going to be ready to be recalled at a moment's notice, and it will not be too hard to get there. Okay, so let's go over the systems here. Like I mentioned earlier, you have arcade games. There's 850 arcade games on this machine. There's Atari 2600. 7800, Jaguar, Lynx, ColecoVision. Notice that the marquee changes along with the actual system itself. You're going to have C64, the Commodore 64, Intellivision, TurboGrafx 16, TurboGrafx CD, Nintendo 64, Nintendo DS, a complete collection, by the way, with that. Nintendo, complete collection with that as well. Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, all complete collections. Game Boy Color, complete collection. GameCube games, I think I've got about 180 games of that. This is what we want to talk about, this one. Virtual Boy, Wii, 32X, Sega CD, Dreamcast, Game Gear, Genesis, Master System, Sega Saturn, Sega PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation Portable, Super Nintendo, and Windows. Let's just look at this for a minute. Go for the Windows here real quick so we can see what's up. Now, these are just the games that I have put on here as well. I mean, you could just basically look at the games and see that these. By the way, the PC runs all these games just fine. So there's plenty there to choose from. I think there's like 34 PC games on here as well. Here's, I mean, you can just basically go down the list. And by the way, I've tested all these games. They run just fine. Pretty good, actually. Yeah, here we go. King of Fighters. You know, this is all good stuff here. All right. Let's get out of this here real quick. Let's go down to what's going to be asked next is PS4 games. So we'll go into that real quick. We'll just see what's on. I'm not going to boot these games up because they take too long, but you'll get the idea. All right. So here you go. This is basically what we got going on here for PlayStation 4. They all run. I've tested them. They run just fine. Okay. Back out of this. Now you go to PlayStation 3, for example. This is another one they're going to ask about. Here's PS3 games. There's probably 40 PS3 games here, maybe 30 PS3 games on here. But they all run. You get the idea as I'm scrolling through the games. You kind of see what is on this hard drive, what I've downloaded, and all that kind of good stuff. Back out again. You'll see here PS2. That's be another question that's being asked. There's like 180 games of the PS2, I believe. So you'll see here there's plenty of games to choose from. Couple rules about this cabinet that I set in place. One is, first, if you just keep going and going and going for the PS2 games, they're there. Every arcade game that I have on the system is mapped, or you can use this and this respectively for the arcade games. Every other game on here is going to be controlled with player 1 and player 2 on all the emulators. So that way, if you wanted to sit at your couch or whatever and play a game, you can, because this is a Windows PC. You can actually mirror your display to go into another display. You could be sitting in the couch playing these games if you wanted to. Don't have to stand the whole time playing console games. That's just an option for down the road. But let's go to the arcade games. This is what I'm probably most jazzed about, to be honest. Arcade games here. All right, so here we go. This is, of course, as I scroll through the games, the marquee is going to change. I think I've done this several times, but let's just get a good look at it one more time because I think it's the coolest thing ever. So here's your, the marquee will change along with the game. Little animations there, pretty cool. All right. It's just neat. It's just neat stuff. So let's go to, I always like to go to Pac-Man here to kind of demonstrate what this thing can do. Now, of course, again, there's 14,000 games. Sometimes when you skip ahead like that, it will take some time for the hard drive to catch up to the processor of the PC. But here we go. It's populated just fine. Let's go to Pac-Man, for example. Here's your Pac-Man animation, right? Pretty cool. If I go into Pac-Man, for example, I'm going to press this button here to go in. And it's going to go right up, and it's going to start booting up Pac-Man. And of course, there's a little message for you, the high score and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and go. Notice the bezels are going to match the arcade game that you're playing. Pay special attention to that. Not everyone has that. Now, of course, because this is the emulator, you can simulate quarters. So here's my quarter button. There it is. There's my another quarter button. So I can play 1 player or 2 player. Now, interesting thing to note about this, if you play 2 player, what you can do is you press this button here like this. But because it believes it's one arcade cabinet, now now both players will play for 1 player. There you go. And when you get tired of playing the game, which will happen from time to time, even though there's 850 arcade games on this machine, when you get tired, you press these 2 buttons here, get out, and it leaves right there. All right, so a couple things that are kind of note of this that I really worked on hard for this family to kind of have this machine. Oh, look at that animation. Let's do it right here one more time. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty decent, pretty cool. All right, so one thing I want to pay special note of is if you press this button here, it's going to change the mode to a games recommendation list. Think of it like Netflix, but for video games. So this particular front end that I use, it's going to keep track of what's been played, what hasn't been played, and it'll be able to give you recommendations based on your play history, which is kind of interesting and neat to kind of think about. It only draws off the ROMs that are inside of your cabinet. So I've always tested these games out already. That's why there's so many games that are fighting games. Because, oh yeah, one more thing, I've mapped out the fighting game specifically for the game itself to make it the experience as good as possible for the person involved. If I were to press this button here, for example, now, actually, maybe it's this button here. There it is. This is the loading screen you're going to have. We're going to go into the game as well. Let me try to see what this is all about. Notice the bezels there. And then I mapped it specifically for your this particular game. I'm not going to go into playing game. Try to play Street Fighter with one hand. I'm holding the cell phone up with another hand here, but it'll work. I'm going to press these buttons back out of the game and go out of it. And here's your console games now. So that you have a whole other category now. If you want to go to your consoles, for example, you press enter on the keyboard. Here are all your console games. If you want to back that out and go to a different type of system, maybe computers, go here. Here are all your computer games that are listed here as well. Back out if you want to. Oh, by the way, this is enter and this is back, by the way, just so that you know. So in case I didn't mention that. Now, I know that as you guys or whoever has this cabinet is going to be used to having it, you're going to want to save your progress. That is one thing that I'm 100% confident about. So don't worry, I've got you covered there as well. So let's go back this out a little bit here. Now we're going to go to a particular kind of menu, a different mode of this machine. And what we're going to go to is going to be, if I can get to it real quick, desktop mode. We're going to enter this in. And what's going to happen is the same application is going to change modes on you. And now you're going to have desktop mode available to you, which means that you're going to be able to have an easier time saving your progress for all the games you have on your machine. What's really cool about it is whenever you want to play, let's say, a Nintendo game, for example, or Nintendo 64, PlayStation 2, whatever it happens to maybe, you pick up this controller, and then all of a sudden, it hooks up automatically, right? And then you have the ability to, it's still going through a setup process to set up. You have the ability then to play whatever game you want. Now, what I've done is I've also taken the liberty of printing out, oh, I'm sorry, Brian was also the guy who helped me with all the printing. I knew I forgot somebody. Brian was the guy who helped me with all the 3D printing on this cabinet. I could not have done it without him. I mean, that means this particular holder was by him. This holder was by him. That was by him. All this stuff was by Brian England. I just want to give him credit. I don't want to take anything from him at all. Okay, so let's go here. We're going to go to consoles, for example. And let's go to, we'll just go to Nintendo because it'll be a little faster to load. And I'm going to go up here to my search bar up here. See the search bar right here? I'm going to type in, we'll just type in Tetris or whatever. Here's Tetris right here, for example. And I am going to go double tap on it. By the way, the keyboard comes with you guys as well. So there you go. Tap in for Nintendo here. Notice the bezels for each individual game as well. I think most of the games are going to have that. Here's a classification or designation for what the game is running off of. So I'm going to press start. Okay. Now I'm going to press start again. I'm going to press start again. Now I'm going to have this thing kind of, I'm playing it with, let's see, playing with this. Now I am going to press the plus button on my controller. Now what that does is it gives me options now, what I want to do with this game, right? I can view manual. Oh, let's just go and view manual real quick and you can kind of see what it looks like here. Almost all the games on this system, except with the exception of a few, have manuals associated with it. So if you're like me and you kind of like looking at the older stuff, this is a physical manual that someone bothered and took time to scan in. And here is the actual manual that went along with Tetris. So you can see here what that looks like here. But let's back out for a second and let's go here to another one. Now, what this has is you can reset the game. A save state is what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about now is a save state. So you're going to press the enter button on your keyboard here, enter. Right? Now, the progress has been saved. So let's back out of this game again, quit. Let's go in again. Now watch this. I'm going to enter into the game system again. Now I'm going to press the plus button again, plus button. Now I can go to load state on that one game, enter it, and there is where I left off the last time. Very easy to operate, very easy to do. And what that allows you to do is basically, you could save your state for 6 months, a year, it doesn't matter. When you go back to that game and load your save state in there, it will be there. It comes in particularly handy for games like Mega Man or long games where it's like it takes a long time to beat the game. You don't have to do it in one sitting anymore like you did back in the day. You can obviously do a save state. Here, the better look at the games is, let me get this out of here so you can actually better look at the games here from another way of looking at them. You can kind of see what's going on with the systems here. And I just wanted to make this video, right? I wanted to make this video because I wanted everyone to kind of be on the same page. I know that I will probably meet you guys very, very shortly about that. But of course, I would prefer, right, for the Windows to be shut down properly, just because that's the way it needs to be done. And of course, there's other ways to shut this down, but I'm going to shut it down the correct way today. Now, as the system shuts down, I want you guys to look at this. You walk around to the side of the cabinet. Now, how do I know to turn the power off, right? Because when the power's on, that is going to keep going. That's okay. We're going to watch this light. It's going to take about 3 or 4 minutes to shut all the way down. And of course, the TV is going to stay on for the most part. And there it is. Now, the computer shut down all the way. We can walk down here and we can shut the machine off just like that. And then you are good to go. No fuss, no muss, as the saying goes. You'll put your keyboard. Look at this, some type of order here, doing a one hand here. Keyboard in your keyboard holder here. And then you put your controller back in the holder where it goes. This way the controllers will always be charged. They will never not be charged, ever. And that is your cabinet. That is a cabinet that's going to go someone very special to a friend of mine. And I'm glad for that, believe me. I'm glad to do him a solid here. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video. I am glad that I did it. I would not change the experience for the world. And here's another better look at the cabinet here. I'm just proud of this thing. I'm going to miss it when it's gone. Peace.